All right, so let's talk for a second about the safety of propane. So propane is definitely a very efficient but powerful energy source. And just like any energy, when you're using it, when you're handling it, you need to follow the proper safety guidelines to protect both you and your family and anyone working with you. Let's talk for a second about the location of your propane tanks. It's important that you keep it away from ignition sources and combustible materials, and that's going to prevent any accidental ignition that could obviously cause harm to somebody. It's also important that you keep the propane tanks away from an air intake on your house. Now, when you work with a local professional, they're going to be able to help you locate that tank at your property. They're going to tell you the distance from the house, the distance from your windows or air intakes or any type of combustibles that you might have that you don't know about. So it is critical that you work with someone that's a professional that's going to be your supplier to locate that tank for you and install it. All right, we're talking about storing propane tanks. It's important, especially on those portable tanks, that you're going to keep them in a nice, well-ventilated area that's on flat, a stable base so that they don't run the risk of turning over. That's going to be an important step to proper storage of a smaller tank at your house. Let's talk for a second about built-in mechanisms that are in every step of the propane process. They're going to help keep you safe and keep your family safe. So to start with, leak detection. So we mentioned earlier that propane is a colorless and odorless gas in its original form, and they add the odor to it so that you can smell it. And that's like the biggest step you can take in protecting someone from a propane leak, so that if you have a leak, you can smell it and know that there is a leak, and that way you can protect everyone around you. Now, we also have pressure reducing valves and regulators that are involved at the tank and where it actually comes into your house. And what those are going to do is make sure that the appliance is actually getting the right pressure of propane to that appliance as it's coming in. That's going to make it run better, it's going to make it safer. But also there's a relief valve on the tank itself. So in the event that we have built up pressure inside that tank, it's going to be able to relieve that pressure to avoid any catastrophic ignition or failure of the tank itself. Okay, so moving on to the versatility of propane. Let's talk about how I utilize propane gas on my jobs with which appliances that we are oftentimes using. So the first thing that comes to mind is heat, right? I think about gas, I think about heat. And so when you look at what heat sources we're using inside of our homes, you know, there's two big options that you have for forced air. There's either electric heat pumps or there is a gas furnace, oftentimes propane gas furnace for us. Now, the advantage of a propane gas furnace over an electric one is going to be over 50% longer lifespan for starters, which is very significant. And then the other part is that it's going to generate a lot less greenhouse gas. So it's a lot better environmental impact when you're heating with gas versus heating with an electric furnace. And that really comes into play when we talk about the heat strips on heat pumps working versus using the power of propane to heat your house. But I always recommend to people to try to have at least one propane gas appliance in your house, like maybe it's gas log for heat, maybe it's gas logs, or maybe it's the primary forced air furnace in your house. That way you always have a dedicated heat source from gas. In the event of a power outage, natural disaster, you have the ability to heat your house to keep your loved ones safe. Next up is going to be a gas range. So everybody loves cooking with gas. It's no surprise. And propane gas makes that possible in areas like where we're at today, so that you don't have to wait on an electric range to heat up. It's instant flame heat when you turn it on. It's also faster to cool off, which is going to be another safety mechanism inside your house, so that when you turn your cooktop off, the temperature drops faster. So there's a smaller risk of your kids reaching up and getting burned. And also too, it's going to be less energy consumption, and it's going to be less greenhouse gases. It's better all the way around to have a propane range in your house versus having a standard electric range. So there's other appliances too, like tankless water heaters. So at this house behind me, there's a propane tankless water heater that's supplying this whole house with hot water. And it really is, it's a standard for us on our jobs, and they're way more efficient than using something like an electric tank heater or electric tankless heater for sure, or even a heat pump in many cases, because remember, there's no energy being used until there's someone calling for hot water in the house. Only then does it fire up. That really gives you the ability to have those long hot showers or fill up huge bathtubs with the endless water supply, and that's thanks to a clean energy source like propane Now there's other appliances too that we use propane for in our builds, things like pool heaters, patio heaters, or even fire pits in outdoor spaces can all be powered by propane, and that really gives that luxury feel on the outside space as well as the inside of your home. And the last thing I'll talk about is generators. So I'm a big fan of whole home standby generators. And thanks to the power of propane, you can do that in a very clean, efficient way with fuel storage that never goes bad. And also, if you're using propane-powered appliances in your house, it actually lowers the overall load that you need to back up with a backup generator. So then you can buy a smaller kilowatt generator, which is going to save you money. It's also going to burn less gas when it's running. But I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned a little bit about the safety and the use of propane and how we're doing on our job sites. You can always find more information on today's topic and a whole lot more about propane over at propane.com. Thanks for watching.